Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I've got an exciting video for you because I'm going to be playing the tanks with the highest damage per minute in the game. Now, to make it so that I'm not just playing tank destroyer, tank destroyer, tank destroyer, I thought I'd play the highest damage per minute tank of each class. But I mean, I got to start with the tank destroyers, right? As they do have that highest individual damage per minute possible in World of Tanks. And look no further than the tier 10 British tank destroyer. It is the Badger. This thing is an absolute monster. I have the highest possible damage per minute in World of Tanks here, at least with an armor piercing round and not with a high explosive round. 4,800. That is combining Bond Vents, Bond Gun Rammer, a Directive with Brothers in Arms, a premium consumable, and taking the penultimate field mod of this tank for ammo rack reconfiguration. 4,800 with armor piercing is as brutal as it gets. However, having brutal DPM doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to use it. And unlike autoloaders, the Badger only can fire one by one. And while the Badger is probably the last tank that you want to sit in front of for an extended period of time, it still has quite a few vulnerabilities, being locked down, your opponent's managing to get its side or its rear, and also the fact that it's just really not that quick. Its base top speed is 30. Now, by using a Bond turbo on this vehicle, you're able to get it up to 36, and also its reverse speed at 12 does mean that it's quite poor at being able to pull back. Alright, when I get into a matchup like this, I'm kind of thinking about dropping the turbo and just going for the enhanced tracks and the extra health on this vehicle. But then again, do I really want to be slow into the town, and do I want to be slow pushing through and slow pulling back? It's a tricky one. I think I'm going to just be the Turbo Badger, because I feel like afterwards I'm not really going to be able to do much later on in the battle if I don't have the turbo along with me. Alright, so let's get stuck in now on Ghost Town. This is actually a pretty nice matchup and map for the Badger. It's the perfect kind of town brawlery event. And while I think that something like a Jagdpanzer 100 might do better than the Badger on a map like this, because it's just absolutely brutal with that alpha damage, and its armor, especially towards the side, means that it can deal with threats from multiple angles, especially in a matchup like this. The Badger is undoubtedly the better tank destroyer on a ridgeline, and while it doesn't hit the hardest at 480, well, obviously with the damage per minute it is doing the most when you combine that damage with the rate of fire. Another thing I'd like to mention on the Badger is its HESH rounds. They have 130mm a pen, and the alpha damage goes up from 480 up to a whopping 620, and that is really where you know that you are going to be absolutely annihilating anything that is stupid enough to sit in front of you for a little period of time. I do love the turbo on this tank. I feel that tank destroyers, especially ones like this that are limited to 30 kilometers an hour, or even your Jagdpanzer 100, just feel so sluggish. And what's the point of having really good damage per minute if you're not able to use it? And hopefully to be able to like catch down on your opponents and be able to catch them ill prepared. Alright, well, the Badger, I've got to watch out for the tank destroyers sitting at the back, but I think that I should be able to get into this position and start my game off well with 474 damage to the standard B. I'm expecting there to be a bunch of tank destroyers at the back. I got to be careful because I don't want to advance to where this 110 is initially, while they've also got people up on the west. But that will be my ultimate goal, is to kind of get in front of some heavies and get hold down against heavies and be able to tear them up. Alright, we instantly know where the SPG is on the enemy team, so I'm going to tell my team where that is. Alright, well, we've actually got some tanks along the west, and I feel like in a matchup like this that I kind of want to get stuck in. And I also noticed that their heavy tank, the E100, seems to be a little bit ill-prepared. I'm worried about the T30 possibly being hulled down on my left or possibly on my right, but I think I'm going to advance now. And I think I'm going to hopefully get hulled down against this 110, and then I'm going to be able to rip them up. Oh, 110, you are about to have a very bad day. In fact, I'm just going to go for the E100. Why wouldn't I right now? You know, why not deal with the tier 10 tank that could be scary rather than dealing with the 110? And oh my lord, it might be farming time if that guy didn't. I'm going to use my medkit against the arty there. And in this situation, this is just the dream for the Badger, right? And look how our damage is just stacking up. There's nothing the enemy can do in this scenario. And yeah, just the dream, really, for the Badger there. The problem is now I'm getting clumped by the artillery in my side. what I probably can do? Nah, I can't. I don't think I can make my way over there. I think I might have to, though. I think I might have to try and catch this standard, be ill-prepared, or to hope that maybe some of my TDs are going to be able to push through. There's a fine line between playing the Badger and getting isolated and not. Should I go for an HE shell on this guy? I think it might be greedy. Let's see if I can surprise him. Hello! You're going to use your autoloader on my tracks? I'm okay with that. Ooh, you might not be okay with this. Ooh. Unfortunately, bounced off me. Not very good for the 263. And just like that, we are now up to a whopping 3,600 damage dealt, which is not bad for a TD. But we still got 1,100 assistance as well. Oh, the arty is just not making me very happy. But good job by him, right? Because I'm just the kind of tank that he should be trying to harass. Alright, well that 263 in that position, I'm seriously undecided now. Now, should I go for the 263 or should I go for the 100? The Badger is usually one of those kind of tanks that just needs to commit to a scenario. But with the E100 falling now, maybe I can just make my way down that alleyway. Looks like I'm spotted the entire time. Either that or I'm being blind fired, one of the two. I must be spotted the entire time. That means that an artillery shell might come in. Okay, with the medium tank along the flank, could I go over towards the east? I'm definitely spotted the entire time. Either that or that 263 is very good at being able to blind fire me right about now. Whoa, look at that. There was an Emil right in those bushes. There's a T30 over on that flank. That means they don't really have many scary tank destroyers who could be at the back, with also the Griller getting spotted out. I'm going to go forward and see if I can find this standard B. I don't find the standard B quite, so I'm going to get out of the danger zone here with the alleyway. And then hopefully, just like that, we're going to get rid of that guy. So I've also got to worry about the artillery. It looks like they just fired, however, so I don't need to worry about them for another 20 seconds or so. I might try and get forwards and then try and shoot the... is it the T30 that's in that position? I've got to be careful with the Skoda, though. I don't want to get caught out, but oh, look at that. Oh, what? He lost 1,650 hit points just like that. I blinked and he was gone. I'm spotted again. Probably a UDES or... Oh, well played, Skoda. Well played, Skoda. That's good. That's good play by him. Well played, Skoda. Big respect. You got me good. 970 damage, and I've got to be careful. All right, there's the Scorpion G. HE shell. Intuition reload. Oh, it goes into the worst possible place. And yeah, that was a foolish play by me there. No excuses. I shouldn't have just got myself caught out. Although he just got one shot for it. So, then again, this game was ending fairly quickly, so maybe it's not the worst play of my life. Alright, so there could be a UDES up there. I can't really figure that out. I'm just going to have to try and make an aggressive play, because that is what the Badger has to do in this situation. My team are clearly going to cap. We're clearly going to win this battle. And, yeah, all of you got to see pretty much just what the Badger is all about. And that is... Oh, I could have got the damage in there myself. Oh my word, is that a UDES? Penetrating high explosive shell. Yes, please. 525 damage. Oh my lord, that is absolutely outrageous. What you all got to see from this game is that the Badger is absolutely brutal. All it takes is just 30 seconds and you've ripped apart entire tanks. And that is how this vehicle specializes. Now I'm going to be able to reload before the 263, but luckily my team manages to finish them off. All right, good game. Over 7,000 combined to start off our high damage per minute video. And this thing, oh, it's a monster. That's all there is to say. Badger is a monster. Now, the matchup was nice. I was lucky that E100 kind of just sat there. And I was also lucky that the artillery didn't make more of my vehicle. But all in all, that is what the Badger is good for. If you want to know more about the Badger, I thoroughly recommend you go and watch my masterclass video on this tank. It will let you know everything there is to know about the Badger. And whoa, didn't expect that. I got an ace tanker to start this off with. I actually ended up doing somehow 4,200 spotting and 4,700 damage. Okay, well, that was a 9,000 combined game to start the day off. Do you think that I should just probably quit while I'm ahead? Maybe, possibly. Yeah, great game for the Badger. I would boost, but I'm actually going to be streaming later on today, and I feel like I'll invest it into something that doesn't have the field mods. All right, well, good start for the Badger. Okay, so we played a tank destroyer. Why don't we play the highest damage per minute heavy tank in the game? And it's the T57 Heavy. I also want to give a quick reference as to how do these tanks perform? Like, what is the win rate of the Badger with the highest DPM? Well, it's definitely up there, but it is actually topped by the Jagdpanzer, the E3, and the 268 version 4. So I would argue, what do all of those tanks have in common? They're armored, right? They're frontal, heavily armored TDs. And it's interesting that you could argue the Badger isn't quite well armored as the E3 or the 268 version 4, but it has the damage per minute. So the fact that it actually has a lower win ratio than all those vehicles suggests that its other weaknesses kind of don't make up for its strength in its damage per minute. Alright, so now I'm going to be playing in the T57 Heavy, which has more DPM than the Kranvang. But unlike the Badger, the T57 Heavy, there's no other way to say it, ladies and gents, boys and girls, has the worst win ratio of any of the heavy tanks at tier 10. Nevertheless, it can still do good. I like to set mine up with vents, vert stabs, and a bounty rotation device, which gives it great gun handling. And I'd like to clarify that I don't quite have all of the field mods on the T57 Heavy. One that I'm really looking forward to getting will be the heavyweight gun to reduce the bloom after firing, because that is really what is the limiter of this tank. It can fire fast every 2 seconds, 1,600 damage per magazine. But the problem is the reticle blooms out so far that you can never fire at its maximum accuracy. And the T57 Heavy is actually pretty accurate for a vehicle that you think has such horrible gun handling. Its base accuracy is actually 0.35, and it's only really prevented by that horrible dispersion value after you fire and when you're moving and you're turning. So I'm actually going to decide to drop out the rotation device here, and I'm going to use a turbo, because I feel like this is just one of those maps that if I don't have any speed, then I'm not really going to be doing very well. Okay, so I'm going to ping the map, and I'm going to say, attack woods, friends, because I feel like that's what I want to do when I play this map. I want to attack the woods. I don't feel like the west is progressive. I feel like you can easily get held back by tank destroyers, and I think that the west is just too campy. So I'm going to go and try and be like a support damage dealer. And we can see that the turbo on this tank actually helps out its fairly poor top speed from 35.4 up to a fairly healthy 39. I believe I've got my turbo inside the mobility slot because I would take a firepower slot on this tank because you want to improve the vertical stabilizers at every opportunity. Oh, this is horrible. I actually got spotted out by the Sheridan. I might be about to get absolutely obliterated. The T57 Heavy. Oh, I've got to repair that. That's an ammo rack. There's some more SM shooting me multiple times from here. That's because there's a WZ on my side. I'm ammo racked twice. If I pop, this will be a disaster. STB1 on my side. Okay, well, unfortunately, boys and girls, the highest damage per minute tank in the game is not very highest damage per minute anymore. And that's because I'm ammo racked right now. What an absolute disaster of a start. Well played to the enemy's light tanks, who are clearly having an influential role in the middle of the map. I'd love it if my 13105 was over there as well, but he's not. I just got to hang out here for a little bit, hang out for another 20 seconds, and I got to wait for another 50 seconds for my ammo rack to come back. But I'm still feeling okay. I didn't get ammo racked. I got most of my hit points. And the T57 Heavy, even when it's ammo racked, still has kind of like a balanced reload then. Yeah, I guess you could argue that. I would really love to be able to get this Sheridan, but I don't want to die for it. I don't think I can get him over that ridge. Oh, he's right there. Oh, I got him once again. He hit me though, and that's not looking good for my HP right now. Now what do? Do I reload or do I wait? Well, I think it's probably best if I hold on to these two shells and then I reload when my ammo rack comes back. Because I don't feel like... Or I guess I could reload now and then I'll get a little bit of an advantage with regards to that. So well played to this Sheridan. He's actually done a stunning job so far, and he's going to actually get me with his commander's vision system. So well played to the Sheridan, MVP. I'm going to have to go forwards right now. I'm going to repair my ammo rack. I'm going to fire out one. My gun is also damaged now, so I've got that to look forward to. And I'm going to have to go for a reload here. This E75 is going to be in a world of trouble against this STB1 unless he manages to finish them off. Unless I just go for a ram kill. While I'm reloading. Is this sensible? Unfortunately, the Sheridan gets me. Oh my gosh, the E75 wastes his reload. And well played to the Sheridan, who actually dumped me in the side. Progetto finishes me off. Oh, what a disaster of a game. So well played to the enemy team. They've done a really good job. The Sheridan just played fantastically in the middle of the map, and I think he's probably got a vision system, and he really did his DPM there. MVP Sheridan on the enemy team. Both of my light tanks really struggled. 13105 kind of came across to here, which is where I wanted to be, and we didn't have any pressure in the middle of the map. So well played to the enemy team. Their light tanks just absolutely god tier. And we found out that when you invest all of your statistics into one area, like the T57 Heavy does, then it doesn't really matter when A, you get ammo-racked, although that's not going to happen every time, but B, you don't have the flexibility of the Kranvang or the mobility of the AMX-50B, or even kind of like that gun depression and the armor that the Rinoceronte has. There's a clear reason as to why this vehicle ends up with the worst win ratio of any of the tier 10 heavies, and that is because I would say that it's significantly worse than the Rinoceronte, which is not saying something. Alright, so we just played the highest damage per minute heavy in the game. Why don't we move on now to a medium tank? And it is the Object 430B. But it's not, because the 430B isn't actually a real tank inside the game. The 430B is when the 430 used to be at tier 10, but having some outrageous rate of fire. Maybe some kind of wargaming test tank. The actual highest damage per minute medium tank in the game that you can get your hands on is the K91. Once again, a vehicle which I've actually done a masterclass video on. I revolutionized how I could play the K91 when I rethought the equipment that I put on the vehicle and to try and play to the tank's strengths, as well as also being able to get the field mods on the vehicle. The K91 is also in such a lovely position because it gets field mods that also further increase its damage per minute. I like to take the loading mechanism on this tank. I know it makes the accuracy worse, but I just have to deal with it. And that actually means that you can get the damage per minute of the 430 up to just shy of 4,000. And that's not with any fancy equipment on this tank. That is just with regular vents and a regular gun rammer. If you were to use fancy equipment, you can get that even higher. Although I would like to clarify, that is with extra combat rations and a half-decent crew. So I have two equipment loadouts for the K91. I have one which is vents, commander's vision system, and a gun rammer. And I have one which is vents, and exhaust, and a gun rammer. And I use the vision system for when I really need to get some vision against, should we say, the bushy areas. And I use the exhaust for all other maps. Now you might be thinking, what, that sounds absolutely crazy. But I feel like these sniping tanks on an exhaust, with an exhaust, you can actually dictate the range of engagement. And you can make so many cheeky plays without getting spotted that it actually really ended up helping me out with how I could play my K91. So in this situation, I've got a bunch of things that I could do in the K91. I could either make my way up into this location here at the D3 area and then play like a snipey role, or alternatively, I could play like a slightly aggressive medium. And I think that I'm going to play like an aggressive medium. Obviously, I'm not really a match for something like the M48 or the STB1 with regards to armor, but I do have a far better gun than they do, at least with regards to damage per minute. I have to be careful, however, because I don't really have the alpha damage against my opponents, but I'm still going to commit. I'm going to go for it. We're going to auto-aim at the Sheridan because my shell velocity is so good, and I feel like it's going to be doing a better job, and as long as I don't get set on fire here, I should be okay now. Okay, so the 260 is progressing, the STB1's there. We've actually managed to get 3 tanks around the corner, so I'm feeling at least fairly confident with our ability to be able to handle these. But oh dear, that EBR just made it up into the middle. Alright, so what I'm going to try and do here is, I'm actually going to try and get behind this rock. If I get spotted here by the STB1, it'll be bad, but if I don't, it'll actually be really good. Because now I can slinky down into this area, and this area is below the STB1's gun line. But this EBR, with them sitting around there, if I can snake around and then actually get around the EBR's vision, this could be absolutely amazing. Whoa, we managed to find a griller. I don't have intuition, otherwise I would switch to HE, but wow, that's a clean tracking shot. Hopefully somebody can get another one, doesn't look like it. All right, I'm going to continue to slinky around. This is a bit of a risky play, but it's one that I'm going to make. I'm going to stay out of the EBR's proxy spotting distance, otherwise the TDs are going to get me. And then now with the EBR in that position, we can turn, and then hopefully we're going to be able to apply some more pressure, but I got ammo-racked again. What is this? Why am I getting ammo-racked once again playing a vehicle like this? Oh my lord, at least it's only going to be 12 seconds until we can manage to get back into this game. Well, with regards to my ammo-rack. There's the EBR. Lost my turret. Not making the trades that I need to make on this EBR. I can't believe he can manage to slinky there. 4 seconds left until I can get my gun rammer back. I reckon he's going to come back for me if I go out, though. This absolute little gremlin of an EBR. I might just try and get rid of him. There we go. Okay, hopefully this STB-1 doesn't realize. It's not a very usual position here. Oh, I tracked him, but I just lost even more hit points to the M48. Oh my lord! This is not working out very well for me. That 265 though, maybe I can get him without dying to the M48. Surely he goes forward to make some mistake. Oh, he's so lucky! Bloody 260, he's not going to make that mistake again, I don't think. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I can try and lock him in here. There we go. Look at that gun handling. It's just delicious. He's stunned, so I'm not going to risk it. Oh my word, the enemies are just pushing up against us. Super aggressive. Hopefully my team will be able to take their base. The 260 just died. And unfortunately for us, boys and girls, all of the DPM in the world doesn't seem to be able to help us right now. Maybe I can try and go for this STB-1 before the 100 and friends comes up round the corner. Is this guy just going to shoot me? Yes, he is. Oh, well. Well, live by the sword, die by the sword. The real player who messed me up in this game was this EBR. I did not expect. I've never seen a tank sit in that location before. And I couldn't go and fight him out because, of course, he had his tank destroyers in this position. So well played to that EBR for getting into a nook that was really tricky. I just can't afford to lose all of those hit points to the EBR, and unfortunately as well to the Sheridan, would you believe it? Who caught me from down below with the STB-1. So not enough damage in this K91 game. I'm still happy with the way that I committed to a flank, that I got forwards, and I took the attack to the enemy team. Not a favorable map or situation for this vehicle, and I think this is what you just saw is probably why the K91 ends up with quite a poor win ratio. Are you seeing a pattern here? Yeah, the K91 actually the 5th worst win ratio of any of the tier 10 medium tanks, at least with regards to tech tree. And it shows you that, again, damage per minute isn't everything in World of Tanks. Alrighty then, so let's play another vehicle. Now we're going to be playing in a light tank. And this is quite fitting. We're going to be playing a Sheridan now. So the Sheridan is, once again, a vehicle which just plagued me in the last 2 games. This vehicle has the highest possible damage per minute of any light tank, which is just shy of 3,500. I personally like to have the Sheridan with a couple of setups. One vents, gun rammer, and an accuracy device. And the other setup on this vehicle, I'm going to go for a full scout, which is commander's vision system with vent and an exhaust on this tank. And I talked about the Sheridan in great detail with regards to why I like these 2 builds in my masterclass video, which I think I released a couple of weeks ago. The Sheridan has, spoilers, I guess I could show you. The Sheridan has probably the worst win ratio of any tier 10 light tank. Oh no, actually, well obviously I've been playing it a lot recently, so I've managed to get the win ratio of the Sheridan above the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, right? No, that might be a bit of a bold claim. But the Sheridan, a couple of weeks ago, actually had the worst win ratio of any of the light tanks at tier 10, even worse than the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen. Alright, so in this situation, this is just a horrible kind of map where I'm going to have to just lose the DPM of this vehicle. I'm just going to have to go for the vision system with vents because I feel that I have to just work the north. If I was in a different kind of light tank, I might be able to try and work along the middle of the map. And I think that unless I have vision, I'm just going to get absolute... I won't be able to do anything. I love playing this tank as the full damage dealer, but unfortunately, there's not every situation where you can play it like a full damage dealer. Alright, so there's a bat chat in a bush here. That's absolutely fine, but I'm going to have to also mosey on into the bushes as well and try and set up for what I think my first shot is going to be. Wow, this thing without the accuracy module definitely doesn't feel very good. Okay, so I'm against a 13105. There's so many medium tanks on the enemy team that I've still got to be careful about getting spotted, but it doesn't look like the bat chat has the same regard for his safety. What I'm going to do right now is just fire at the bat chat. I was actually going to fire a shell blind there, just to see if there was a light tank in that position. And do you know what I might do? I might actually make a bit of a push play now while the game... No, not with a Scorpion there. I should really load an HE shell here, but I'm just going to go for an AP shell, and then I'm going to fall back, and luckily I'm okay. This tank's got a very good reverse speed. With the field mod, like, we're able to get back incredibly quickly. Although it does make my tank more vulnerable to HE, so watch out for that. So I'm thinking about blind firing the bat chat there again, but I'm actually going to switch out to an HE shell. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit. Okay, so, you know what, I think my bat chat needs a little bit of help. But the way that I want to help him is not by going there. I'm actually going to flank around and try and make a pressure play on the AMX. So I might tank a few shells from the AMX here, but I feel like it might be worthwhile. Looks like their AMX might have actually fallen backwards in this situation. We're going to fire at the Scorpion on the move, and this is where the Sheridan just doesn't really have to worry about that kind of thing. It kind of does as well, though, if I low roll, but luckily that's not the case. So the AMX 13105 fell back. The Ferdinand managed to get shut down, although it wasn't my view range. I got to be careful here because I'm still proxy spotted by that 13105 who's running away. Obviously, with the TVP 100 in the corner, that could be a little bit ugly. So obviously, it kind of sucks that I don't have the gun rammer on the Sheridan and the accuracy device right now. But I do feel that there is a time for where you want to go for full DPM on the Sheridan. And there's a time where, on a map like this, where it's all about actually getting spots to be able to deliver those shots, is where it matters. So TVP 100 is getting a good amount of pressure off. The Leopard seeming want to drive up into the bushes, which is absolutely a-okay. We're going to put another shot in there. And this is where this tank just feels lovely as a light. This rate of fire, even if you don't pump it up with the gun rammer, still feels very nice even without one. Alright, so there's a Char Future 4. They don't want to get caught by him, but it sounds like he's already engaging someone else. There's an STR-VK who seems to be AFK. Just going to put one round into the AFK tank, but I should probably, just to see if he reactivates as a bot. Doesn't look like he does, so let's go after the Centurion again. And we managed to have the rate of fire advantage against the Centurion. He's going to get shut down by the Leopard. Looks like the Leopard misses, unfortunately, so I should be able to finish them off. I take a shot. Probably a bad play there to take a shot. 13105 running away. No, what? I think I just went above his hull and his turret there. Hopefully the Char Future 4 will get caught, though. There we go. Nice job. And this STR-VK is actually not AFK now? Has he decided to come and look at me? I don't know. He wasn't AFK. I should have loaded a heat round there. That's my bad. No, TVP. Oh, I actually managed to ricochet a TVP. That's awesome. Okay, cool. It's always funny when I play like my Sheridan. Oh, how did I miss that? Yeah, I need the aiming device. It's always funny when I play my Sheridan and I end up doing more damage than I did in my T57 Heavy and my K91. But that's not surprising because the light tank just has the damage per minute to do the work. Not that the other two tanks don't. Ooh, hello. That's a good roll. I wasn't expecting to finish him off there. A little bit cheeky play by me. To go after him. Okay, so the enemy still have 4,000 hit points at their disposal. Now with the T57 Heavy gone, there's lots of opportunities as to how I can attack here. I'm interested with the Kranvang being in the middle. I'm interested in that Cobra obviously being in the center. I'm wondering if the Kranvang's going to go back around. Okay, so I'm going to use my mobility on the Sheridan, and this is where, like, having high DPM on a light tank feels real good. I'm able to drive around at 67. I'm kind of like a Leopard within that regard, but obviously having, like, the different kind of camo is lovely as well. So I'm just going to put a round into the Kranvang. He's going to focus on me. I'm not going to go back around the corner for a second. Maybe I could even drop back around this tree. He's still aiming at me by the looks of it. Now he's aiming at other players. So let's go back around the corner and we can put a round into the back of the vehicle that's just about to, well, possibly be nerfed. And just like that, 4,000 damage and 1,100 assistance in a sub 5-minute game. I absolutely love doing this kind of damage. Did I just play with my full big cam the whole time? I'm sorry if I was blocking my health bar the whole time, boys and girls. Apologies for that. No, I'm just not used to being home, right? I've been at Tank Fest the last week and been making videos from that setup that I obviously have a few things to iron out here. Well, you obviously just had to deal with a big, beautiful baby there. Sounds very weird. Let's not go there. But what I was trying to say is that I really like doing that tremendous amount of damage in a light tank. You know, 4,151 damage dealt in a tier 10 game in a sub 5-minute round. That is what the Sheridan is all about. And to combine that with 2,400 assistance, that is a decent round of World of Tanks. And yeah, once again, if you want to know more about the Sheridan, check out my masterclass video on it. I hopefully make the argument as to why these two setups give you such incredible flexibility on the tank. And while you do lose 500 damage per minute if you change from my first build to my second build, sometimes it is worth sacrificing the damage per minute so that you can actually deliver it. And without the vision system, without the exhaust on maps like Prokhorovka, Muravanka, or even on Paris as we saw there, the Sheridan just gets out-spotted. But I have to admit, since I rethought about playing this vehicle, it has absolutely revolutionized the way that I can play it, and my win ratio on the Sheridan is actually now on par, if not better, than most of my other light tanks. So I think in this regard, if you're one of those kind of like tenacious players, this is one of the high damage per minute tanks that I think is truly underrated. And if we take a look at our result on Muravanka and our T57 Heavy, where we got outplayed by that Sheridan, there you have it. The Sheridan was on top with that 4,000 damage, hit every single shot they fired, and also managed to do some spotting to boot. Great player playing, I don't know, the more that I think about it with the Sheridan, can be a pretty good tank in a variety of situations and maps. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was 4 of the highest damage per minute tanks in each of their classes. We won 75% of our games, and we managed to get just shy of 5,000 combined average. That gets a thumbs up from me for playing these tanks live. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of these live kind of games where I don't get to cherry pick results, then give the video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below. But if you hated it, give it a thumbs down and let me know what you think about damage per minute in World of Tanks. Do you think that it is one of the most important statistics, or do you think that it doesn't really matter too much? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.